Okay, so I'm going to come in and start to build up the subgrade model. To make this a little bit easier to see, I'm actually going to create a section view. So I'm going to come up to View, New, and create a section view. I'm just going to place these next to one another. So I'll place the section view here, and I'll minimize the plan view a little bit so they've got the two next to each other. Coming in and just hitting the profile button, or the little wave here, I can actually profile one of the cross-section strings. You can see it's 10 times exaggerated, so it's quite scary to drive on. If I just make it 2 times exaggerated, it won't look so bad. So I've just changed that to 2. The other thing I like to toggle on in a section view is also the grades, which will actually show you the width of the lane and the crossfall of the road as well. And I need to turn on the tin as well, and that was the tin existing surface that we plussed on there, we read in from the file. So that's the shape that we've got at the moment. What I do want to do also is, because this is a greenfield, so you might actually need to take some stripping off the existing surface, so off the existing tin. That can be done fairly easily under the main menu under Tins, Utilities, and Translate or Copy. So this will both translate and copy the original tin. We just need to select the old tin name, that's the existing surface there, and type in our new tin name here. So I'm just going to call it stripped 100mm. Remember, once you've finished typing it in, again, if you hit enter, the programmers will automatically create the model with that tin extension at the front, and I'll just change the color so it's a little bit easy to see, from green to brown. Now I want to translate that not in a north-south direction, only in the Z value, so I'm going to come down 0.1 meter, hit process, and then I'll be able to plus on that new model which has the stripped depth there, which we can now see. The other points, if you wish to see them as well, the other strings, you can actually come up and either select the plus button and turn them on out of the list, or a little bit easier, if you come up to the plus button and select the middle wheel, or the second mouse button, the middle mouse button, you can actually add the models by picking them from a view. So if I come over to the plan view here and select any of the strings, it doesn't really matter which one, and go accept, it will actually automatically turn that model on into this view, so I don't actually have to look at the list, and that's quite a handy tip as well. So what I want to do is actually translate these models down, or some of these strings down, the 450, to actually start to build up our pavement area underneath the designed road here. So to do that, I'm going to come in under Utilities, H to Z, T for Translate is what I'm after, it's down towards the bottom here, and I need to select the strings that I want to translate down. Now I could do them individually, 1, 2, 3, and go through the actual road design themselves, but you might actually have a number of roads. So in that case, we can actually filter the data if we can find something that's unique about the strings themselves. In our case, these strings, these lip of the curb here, are actually all orange. So what I can do is use the color as a selection method in the filtering. So I'm going to come in, I'm going to tell 12D I'm interested in the data on view number 7, our plan data. I don't know exactly what model or models that are in, but I do know something about the strings themselves, and that is the color and the fact that they are orange. If I just hit filter select, it will actually highlight in the plan view. You can see it's highlighted the strings there, and tell you that data that you've got currently turned on in the view, it's found 8 strings that are orange. If they're correct, then all we need to do is keep filling out the rest of the panel. So again, I'm not going to move it in an east or west, north-south direction, I'm just going to move these strings down, and this time it's going to be by 450mm. And I'm going to put them into a new model. So I'm not going to replace the data, I'm not going to move the strings, I'm actually going to copy the strings and put them into a new model called Subgrade Strings, and go Translate. If I come back to the plan view here and plus on that subgrade model, you can see those orange strings have been translated directly vertically down underneath the original lipper curbs there. I also need to translate the original centerline strings down, and again you have to try and think of something unique about those strings to be able to select them and translate them down. So I'm going to come under Utilities, H to Z again, T for Translate. I can actually just pick them one at a time, there is only 2 to do, or again if I was to go and filter them, I might be able to actually use the view and also possibly the string type. In our case, they're actually old alignment strings. So if I go that way and go select, you can see that it actually has found 4 alignment strings. If I manipulate it a little bit more and say to 12D, Actually, I'm only interested in the magenta strings and go filter select. You can see now it's only found the 2 strings, and that's just possibly easier rather than going around the whole subdivision and picking each of the strings individually. So I'm just going to translate these down as again the 450mm and put them back into that model called subgrade strings. Now if I go translate and finish, you can see that now it's translated that string down also into the same model. I'm just going to turn all the data off the view at the moment, just so it's a little bit easier to see what's happening, and I'm going to turn on that model for us called subgrade strings. So if I just come over to the plus button, there's the model that we've got so far. Now I need to manipulate these strings similar to what we did before in terms of selecting them, splitting the strings, joining them together, because I want to actually parallel these strings out a meter. Now that side's fairly simple, I could just parallel out, but this one I'd actually need to do it 1, 2, 3 times to get a string that would travel around 1 meter off. So instead of actually paralleling them so many times, if I just manipulate the current strings, just as we did in the exercise previously, it will make our life a lot easier to be able to parallel and then manipulate the strings some more. So we need to come in and first of all split the strings. Like we did before, I picked the string and I split it, and I picked the end of the TP or the end of the arc there, and tell 12D that's the end of the original string. I want to come along and split the second one again, coming to the end of the arc, and go accept, and now again I've split the string so it's in that fashion. I now need to come through and delete some of the vertices, or the last vertices on the corners there. So I'm going to come in and pick the vertex and delete this one down here, delete the one closest to the arc here, and remember this one had 2 that were very similar or close together, so I'm going to go for vertex 1 and delete that one, and it should now have a very small gap in there, which you can see that it's done that fine. I now need to come through and actually join those strings together. So under the CAD strings command, I'm going to go join many. Again, I'm going to join from this string onto the second one, third, and then coming back the other way, I just have to hit escape first of all, so that it starts, this is my first string, this is my second string, and this is my last string here. So I now have 2 individual strings. The first one is 1 curve return and the other one's there. To parallel these strings out, and you'll see them appear in the section view as I do this, I want to parallel them out with the same properties. So I'm going to come up and hit the same as, select the string there so that it fills out all that information across the top in terms of the model and the string color and things. Now I'm going to come in here and go parallel, which is the 5th one out here on the CAD string toolbar. When I parallel it, I'm actually going to pick it with direction. So I'm picking with the left mouse button and driving in this direction, letting go and accept, so that when it goes offset, it offsets it to the right hand side or to the north there. So I'm going to offset this 1 meter. No height change, and you can see it's now placed that second string underneath the curb and gutter, 1 meter behind. Now coming this way, I do the same thing. I pick with direction and I drive in the direction I want it to go and accept, and so that 1 meter is to this side or to the right again. And finally picking, driving along, let go and accept, 1 meter, and I've now created the other strings on the other side as well, and that's produced the shape that I'm after. Finally, what I need 12D to do is actually do a vertical wall back up to find where this string would intersect with our footpath area. So I need to do a small interface command function to create that vertical wall. So coming in to create these vertical walls and do the small interface, I come under the main menu, Design, Apply, and Interface. I just need to give these strings a name, so I'm just going to call it Subgrade 1, because I actually will have 3 of these. I pick the string I wish to interface from, or where to base the interfacing from, so I pick this string here, and I need to do it to the left hand side of this string. So the cut is 1 in, I don't do it 1 in 1, I actually want it a lot steeper, 1 in 1 mil, so 1 meter vertically to produce 1 millimeter offset horizontally. Now I shouldn't have any fill, but I'm just going to put the numbers exactly the same. The section separation is fine at 10 meters, and I'll get it to search for 100 meters. Now because this string is traveling in this direction, which you can actually find out by doing a string inquire. If I pick with direction, 12D will actually highlight in the information box there that it's got a negative direction. So the direction I picked is negative. If I pick it the other way with direction, again it'll come up and tell me that's the positive direction. So now I know the direction of the string, again using the string inquire. I tell the 12D the tin that I want to interface to, which is my road design, and I'm trying to do it to the left hand side. The model for the interface is again going to be my subgrade strings. And if you wish to keep the slope lines, we could also put in the model for the slope lines to get created into as well. So I'm just going to go interface there, and you can see now in the section view how it's got that red vertical line coming up to the tin. I do a similar thing on the other side. So this one is going to be number 2. I picked the string here on which it was to be based off, and this side it's to the left, to the right hand side. So leaving all the boxes exactly the same, I just need to flick it over so it's to the right hand side and hit interface, and it's done the vertical wall back up to where it would hit the footpath. And finally I do the third one, which is by just changing the function name, selecting the string it was to be based off, and going interface again. So you can see it's turned red as well, where it's going to put that vertical line back up to find the footpath there. Now I'm ready to triangulate the subgrade model and come up with a tin or a triangulation for that surface. So coming under tins create, triangulate data, I'm going to call this tin subgrade. So, and I'll make it orange. Now again, the data is actually all on the view, it's only that one model. So the data I wish to triangulate is actually just that one model. I can, again, not wanting to look at the list as much, if you wish to fill this out a little bit quicker, you can actually click in the cell, so it's like a left mouse button, and then accept, like a middle mouse button, that's where you wish the answer to go. Pick any of the data off the screen and accept, and it will then lock in the model name by your picking or selecting it off the screen. And again, I'm going to bring the nulling down to about 5 meters. So I'm going to triangulate that and then plus on the view, my new tin. There it is there. And if I turn it on in the section view, you can see it's now produced that shape for me there.